Call the meeting to order at 4:01 PM. All 5 members of the board are presently here. As well as Joe Roach and then Breck from Code Enforcement. Yeah, we have a quorum, and I don't believe anything we have on the topic today should be any kind of conflict of interest. Any adjustments to the agenda? You're gonna add,
Mr. Chair, I will speak with the board under new business about a request for a letter of support regarding childcare.
for the Beth Brunswick
Correct.
Memorial. Okay. Review of the minutes on the 19th. Everyone should have gotten a copy of those. Looks like Steve, your email didn't go through. You didn't get it because I forwarded them to you.
I didn't get the agenda until I got here now.
Well, I emailed it to you, so you must have something off on your setting because I responded to your email. So I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't either.
So you might want to check in with your IT administrator.
She's home, I'll check.
Yeah,
I'll check
that's what
it out later.
I knew that's what you were gonna say, so. I emailed it to you as soon as I got that. Joe did send it out. He sent and asked everyone to confirm. And you didn't confirm, so you probably didn't get it.
Jeez. All right.
So everybody else got the agenda?
Yes.
Because I spoke with our IT folks and they couldn't find anything wrong. We said, make sure that it's spelled right.
Yep,
Thanks.
so
Yeah, right.
shall we take a minute or two so you can read through it, peruse, make sure we didn't miss anything?
Sure, it's gonna be fine. No one else sees any issues, I think I will
Okay.
defer that.
Can I have a motion?
I have a question for Joe. Under the,
You want to do that in discussion, so we can have a motion and then do it?
you want to do that?
Yep.
Sure.
Motion to accept the minutes?
Second,
Okay, discussion.
Joe, did you have a chance to send out my questions at all? My survey questions that I had put together?
Thought those were sent during the last meeting.
Yeah, I think that'd be covered in old business. Was there something in the minutes that reflected that that's inaccurate?
Well, it mentioned that Joe was going to send it out, but perhaps it had already been done beforehand.
Where are you seeing that, Terry?
Under draft survey questions.
So is anything wrong with how it's worded in the minutes?
No, I just want
Okay,
to find
well
out.
then, let's save that for old business. Not trying to be a jerk, just trying to stick to where we are in the
Yeah,
right
I'm
spot.
not really sure of all the procedural things.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll instruct as we go. So, so the, and this motion is there anything that's written in the minutes that's incorrect? Because I see in here, it says, what you're asking says, they will be sent out later by Joe to the committee, so that was the request, so that's factually accurate. And then we can talk about implementation and those things.
Sure.
Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Old business, planning consultant update. I assume, Joe, you're gonna give us that.
I am. The select board has not formally taken action on this yet. We have the consultant that the panel favored has talked with AvCog. And I'm waiting to hear back from what AvCog's proposal, financial proposal is.
So tabled to the 10/23 meeting.
Or 10/24.
Well, it'll be tabled for us to 10/24, but tabled to the 10/23 with the BOS.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. Sales tax data.
So I was able to connect, actually gonna call back from at the state name. She pointed me in the right direction. I printed this spreadsheet off. Hopefully this is what you were looking for. This is from 2007, 2022. I'm assuming every year is in there.
Yeah, it's just missing the breakdown from 2010 on. Did they stop doing it?
Yeah, she looked at that with me and it just wasn't available.
No, that's a bummer.
Yeah. But it does give, you know, the total restaurant lodging and then the total in the next column.
Yeah, so it's missing a whole section is under other. For instance, if you look at 2022, 61 million, but the totals between the others is like 40. 44 million, so $17 million is missing.
Not even. The restaurant and lodging column, is that just the sum of the forward two right columns?
Yes, it
Restaurant
is,
and lodging?
exactly, yeah,
So we're missing
Yeah, we're missing
39 million.
39 million.
which would be the other categories that I captured after 2010.
Well, that's disappointing. You would think that the state could give you a better breakdown. They make you check all the stupid boxes on them. I'm calling BS on that.
Yeah, where does the other 40 million come from? It seems
Well, it clearly comes from,
food, retail.
I find it hard to believe. I would think lodging would be the largest thing
Well,
because
that's
it's
what
10%.
I think we've talked about numerous times, right? Lodging and
Yeah, because
restaurant are the
short-term
largest
rentals is 10%.
chunk of it.
And restaurant is at 7 or 8, right?
Restaurant of, it's at 20% of the total, right? 12 million.
Restaurants, yeah.
No, I mean 8%.
Oh,
The tax is 8%. The other tax is 10.
Yeah.
So those are gonna be more than your regular general merchandise of 5.5. So I find it hard to believe it's all made up and all that there, so. So is there anybody else we should talk to, Joe? Because it seems like this is missing a lot of pertinent info. Who'd you talk to, Department of Revenue?
Julie, Department of Revenue, yeah, this comes from actually the Office of Tax Policy, that's why.
We can access this ourselves, it's
Yeah.
public information, you get this, we used to get it every month in the hospitality. Maine.
Yeah, I used to get it at Saddleback.
You can find it online too.
It's there. It's
All right, be good to find out if we can find more of a breakdown, but thank you. Good
I have
start.
a question. This is economic area is Rangeley, is that the whole area?
It would
Or
be
is
probably
it just the
04970.
Yeah,
Be
so it's
everything
not just the town itself.
That's right.
It's the Rangeley.
Will be anyone under 04970 probably.
No, sell
So that includes Saddleback.
It does.
that. Rangeley? Rangeley, sell that.
Well, the economic area says Rangeley, but is it just the town borders this data is coming from, or is it from the plantation surrounding us and other
It's
areas?
usually by town.
That's this town right next to it, now,
Yeah.
usually it would be by town,
Yeah. So, well, yeah, we don't have Sandy River Plantation.
I don't think so.
Okay. You can see the effect of inflation the
Yeah, that's
last
all
2
stored
years.
itself, huh?
Okay, good. All right, so now we're up to yours, Terry, draft survey questions. I don't know how to use it.
Joe?
It's Rangeley Public.
Public?
So I don't see, Joe, looks like those questions didn't get forwarded.
All right, I'll do it right now. I'm sorry, I thought they were forwarded during the last meeting.
I just sent them to you during the last meeting.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So I guess we'll have to pick that up for next time.
Steve and I did work on the survey too, and it's easy enough to incorporate it. We used Carl's more or less granular questions at the beginning. And there's mention about reading the comp plan to Terry, at least the visionary section of it in the beginning.
Any survey questions that you compiled?
So did you want to go over those tonight?
My questions?
No, they started on the survey, you incorporated some of
Yeah,
Terry's stuff.
I didn't incorporate Terry's because I didn't know how that information should flow, so I wasn't sure about that. But I do have those in an email, and she didn't have, a long laundry list of them. I can definitely pull them up.
Perhaps it should have been part of that together.
We just were doing it on via email.
We can only have 2 per group, because once we go to 3, it's an official.
Would it be helpful if I printed this out for you?
Sure, that'd be awesome.
Let me go do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think once we speak to the consultant, they're gonna have input too, they're gonna.
Yeah, so why don't we just table that for now?
Yeah, I don't think it's about that.
Yeah, I just don't want it
Hey, Joe?
to disappear.
No, he's gonna put it.
Yes,
Yeah, he's
I
good.
haven't
It's-
seen it, so I'd like to have it.
Yeah.
And then so is the thought to take our drafted questions and once we get the consultant on board, have them kind of
Tweak it or.
tweak it, change words, and then are we gonna ask them to kind of implement it and monitor it, compile the data with it?
No, I don't see it. What's that?
So much-
There's a ghost in the machine.
Get act ready.
So many things.
I worked on my laptop with all this at home today, running my iPad. I can't see.
All right, I just got the email from Joe, all
All right, I have them right here too. And so some of these are in there already. How long you've been living in or coming to Rangeley, or that's in there. Are there areas of the 2012 vision that speak to you personally? It does ask the survey responders to read the vision, and then there's areas to comment. List reasons why you like this
Thank you.
area.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
So I also had an introduction that I worked on as well, that we may want to just maybe not use any of it, maybe use some of it, but I wanted you all to see that as well.
Well, and we can just put it all together, and when we finally get in front of, our consultant too, we could kind of run it by them. That's what I would suggest, because the introduction that you wrote, Terry, is super similar to the red line version of what Steve did.
right.
I mean, it's almost really similar.
Close, I was reading that, I was like,
And what I did when I first created just the, kind of the template survey, I just pulled the introduction from the comp plan. I didn't do any editing. I was just trying to build something to work from,
Right.
Yeah,
well, I spent a little bit of time just putting this together. I didn't do it after I saw you, Steve, or anything, but
no,
it's funny that they seem to be similar though.
I mean, you gotta intro it with something, and the idea of reviewing the visions, as we call it, vision section. Give people a sense of where the thing started is a good way to do that. As far as the questions, these are, mostly like essay type questions, where you're allowed, verbalizing stuff. It's hard, the only problem that is harder to
you
tabulate
can't collate it
results,
well.
collating,
Yeah, I see what
specific
you're
answers,
saying.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only thing about it. That's why typically a lot of surveys will go on a 1 to 5 scale or start good, yes, I agree, I don't agree, that type of thing. So you can get some statistical analysis.
Although there may be a few things that stand out, you may get 500 people saying, hey, I like the same thing.
We might.
If we get 500 people answering the survey, we're gonna teach survey classes to quit our
Right,
day jobs.
I think the questions though that we talked about last week, they cover most of these.
They do.
It's the same
Yeah.
kind of
They're in there, yeah.
output, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'd say 3 out of 6 are pretty well covered in the other questions.
Mhm. All right, you want me to just compile this into something so that we can have a final draft, and then I've got yours. I've already incorporated your red lines, and I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
And I'll send it out prior to the next meeting so everyone can look at it.
Would you like me to come over and work with you?
I'm leaving this weekend and I'm doing props for the play, so my time is like minimal.
Okay,
But I'll send it to you so you can look at it.
all right. I'd be willing to, if you had the time, that's wanted you to know.
All right.
Okay, so we'll plan on that. Comprehensive plan task list. Before we go into that, let's go into the, Joe, let's go to the bylaws, because that was kind of tabled, we were trying to figure out the committee size, and say it's a copy. So what did the board decide?
So last night, the Board of Selectmen did a first reading on that policy as it's in front of you. Basically, the changes to that draft are the removal of the word implement or implementation. And there's a sentence added in there that you will review and make recommendations for changes to the comp plan. The Board of Selectmen perform the first reading, there'll be a second reading, the next meeting, and then they will be adopted bylaws.
And then,
So those are really the only changes.
so we won't have to go to the larger group, because we're not doing any implementing, so being compliant to the level that the Board of Selectmen was concerned about.
Yep.
Okay, anyone opposed to any of this? I think it keeps it streamlined. Okay, so I don't know if we want to make a motion to say we support the changes to the bylaws as presented.
Do it.
Yeah, I make a motion to support the changes to the bylaws.
Okay.
I
Steve,
second.
Wendy, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0. You can relay that back to the Board of Selectmen. It'd be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so that's
I have a
all.
quick question on that. Since we've removed implementation committee, do you have to create a new document for it?
Yes,
Implementation committee?
but we're probably at least 18 months away from that.
Yeah, I think this is a really
There's-
late juncture in the game to be firing up an implementation committee.
Oh, yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, once the new one is built, then.
Yeah, then we'll need to implement. Got it.
I think we'll learn a lot in the process of updating the plan and different techniques to approach good, solid implementation.
I don't suggest we change our email addresses. though.
No.
I don't know, I'm wondering if yours are even working, Steve.
I know, I don't know. I got yours just now.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Doing a hit list?
Yep.
Okay. I got all the answers for the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, we'll start with Wendy.
Yeah, everything, I have answers yes, no for all of these, so once we get the Google Doc thing online, I'll go in and implement. And it was surprising because there was quite a lot done. And there was also 3 or 4 really interesting things that haven't been done that will probably become high priorities going forward because they were overlooked. And I had help from leadership of the board, and I'm very grateful to Ethna for spending time with me on this. And it was great to have her institutional knowledge and history of the board's activities to make sure that I wasn't screwing anything up.
Excellent. Steve?
Well, I kind of struggled with this, to be honest with you. I've been traveling a lot, so I didn't have any meetings with any people. I just went through the document myself to try to determine what the questions that I had or what was obviously done or not done. And I had a hard time with that. I was looking at an annual outdoor summit, which I don't know that I could find it occurred. That was one of the main topics here, which is in some ways is kind of a predecessor to everything else in some sense, because I like that idea of getting all the necessary groups together to discuss the plan components and get better feedback on what's been accomplished and what still needs to be done or can be removed. But short of that, I guess I'm really limited in my answers. I don't really have I feel bad about not having a good response to the section. Outdoor recreation is not my specialty. What?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think, just, this is gonna be an investigative piece.
Yeah. I need more
You know,
work.
Wendy's was pretty easy for her to connect because she's on the board.
Yeah.
And had some eager people that were willing to provide additional info, so I mean, That was a good task. So I mean, yours is spread out, as is mine. I need to schedule with the planning board to meet with them.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I don't expect, to me, I don't expect us to have all those answers until, you know, it's gonna take a couple months to get, I think, all these answers. So
I'll get on it now.
that's why we're dividing it up into groups. So don't beat yourself
Yeah,
up.
And we can connect, and I can connect us with Pat, who's at Parks and Recreation directing me.
Yeah, that's a little, I know the people. so
Yeah, I think you spend an
love it.
hour with Patty, you'd probably get a good idea.
Love it, yeah.
And then
Why don't we do that?
We'll do that.
we can connect you with some of the snowmobile people and some of the others. So-
Exactly.
And there's 1 or 2 snowmobile questions, that's about it, the
Yeah,
whole thing,
I know, I noticed.
You might even talk to Lee Libby in 5 minutes to get those answered.
Right.
Okay,
So, you know,
Thank you.
and that's where I think we as a group resource, and don't be afraid to send out an email to the group and say, hey, I'm working on this. Does anyone get a good point of contact? So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, some of us have point of contact, like Joe's got point of contact with everybody.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's one thing, but we don't want Joe to sit here and do the whole thing. We're trying to split it up, so.
No, and I can help you too, Steve,
All right.
since I'm all done with my,
Thank you, Wendy.
simple thing.
Get on it.
And I'm not saying yours was so greasy, I'm just saying,
I have really thick skin, you can just keep rolling.
okay, yeah, I was just saying that, you know, it was an easier
Yeah,
resource,
you're correct.
yeah. So Carl, where are you on yours?
So I ran through it, and I think similarly, I had a lot of questions on some of the things. I mean, many of these activities are just ongoing items that are we just gonna let them live in this document ongoing?
Well, I think that's the thing, like in the CEO section, I think you and Breck sit there and say, this is a good one, should be ongoing. This one's done. This one,
So
we need to retweak a little bit.
for instance, under housing, there's one that's, the policy is residential structures are constructed safely and soundly.
So then you can say yes, because you have systems in place to make sure that's done.
So that's where the action strategy was adopt and administer UBEC code.
Which is done.
Which is already done.
I know, so are we saying
You're
that
You
the
did it,
action strategy was complete,
right.
but the policy that we want to continue verifying that homes are built safely and soundly?
That's gonna be a state requirement anyway. in a-
Well, that's kind of where I'm going.
Well, that's where you can say UBEC was adopted, blah, 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 date, which is
I understand.
past that piece.
So do we want to call this off? a
No, I
list
think it's an
under
ongoing
housing,
thing.
Or are we gonna keep it in the comprehensive plan, and do we want to change it into what?
We're gonna find all that information out as we do the exploration.
And I think you're gonna find that we're just gonna have, there's gonna be perpetual ongoing tasks that exist in every comp plan going forward. But I think you can at least update and say, UBEC was adopted, code enforcement has a standard policy on that, they're monitoring it, this is happening. We've been through several code enforcement officers in the past 10 years, but yet this is carried on. It hasn't fallen through the cracks, right? I'm not walking in your Sir Breck's office and saying, you guys ever heard of UBEC? You know, you're doing it, you're implementing.
Okay. Build
So historical, REOC, and then.
it? The historical was already all filled out,
Yeah, I think it is.
pretty much
The
all
question
done.
is, do we want to redact it? So I think we can all think about that. And then the REOC,
That was completed,
That was,
and then chamber.
that was completed, chamber was completed.
Did you
and-
speak with anyone at the chamber?
I don't know, when we got it, it was filled out, I think they provided the info already, so.
Right. Good.
yeah, I spoke.
It's interesting though, they're making some changes there. They're not, somebody said they're not doing holidays anymore.
Those are economic,
It is by far the most expensive.
economic opportunity.
Ordinance and planning. That's me.
Was the easy one.
I don't have a lot done on that. So I want to schedule, I haven't had a chance to schedule with the ordinance committee or the planning board to kind of go over these things and see where things are at. So I apologize. I'm not done. I'm at the, I have not completed.
I read through a lot.
Don't beat yourself up on it, Chris.
Now you know why I was easy on you.
There was a lot of recommendations for ordinance changes.
Yeah, and I know that we're at slim to none.
Yeah, I don't think many of them have been completed, so.
Yeah, from what I can see here, that very little, I mean, a lot of time was spent on sign work and a lot of time was spent on. You know,
We did
the
revise
38
the land
overhaul.
use tables, right,
Right.
38 were
Yeah.
revised. But I don't know if they necessarily met the policy goals.
Correct.
That's okay, you can just say, we're gonna keep working on this and put it in the next plan, you know?
Right.
That's all you do.
And then the town planner section will be the combined committee. So anything we want to dive into more today?
My name is down here for the Rancho Lakes Heritage Trust. On the agenda, I'm just noticing that that's what I had to do this. last week.
RLHT was Terry, great.
I
Make that amendment to the, make the motion, make that amendment to those minutes, since we have that.
I must have missed that.
That's why you're not
Get
getting
fired.
fired. You're not getting fired. Okay, so Terry, you want to talk about those?
So I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do with this information, but I did go and interview David Miller of the Heritage Trust, and I addressed all the different things that were my responsibility, so I don't know what I do with this information.
Well, we're gonna upload the, into the Google Drive, and we'll send that out, and, then everyone will be able to update their information.
So
in
should I
the
type it into a
Progress
spreadsheet,
section.
or,
You will be doing that.
I mean, I think I already did, if I can't figure out how to find it. So-
Well, then you're
It's
gonna
on
wanna
my
copy
laptop.
what's in your,
Computer.
you're gonna wanna copy what's on your spreadsheet. Spreadsheet. And if you're not sure how to do that, you're welcome to just forward the spreadsheet and one of us can do it.
I'd like to learn how to do it. I did have some trouble last week trying to access that spreadsheet that you had sent me. Rick helped me out a little bit with it, and found out that my Excel is like 2007. So it's not showing everything apparently. But if we're going to Google, I'm not gonna worry about it. It's rather be on Google, right?
Yeah, Google Sheets, which if you can take whatever you have there, upload it onto Google Sheets and then send it over and we can combine it. It's pretty easy.
And where will I send it to? To you?
Copy Joe.
Copies?
Everything we send out, copy Joe. Joe's our center point.
So Terry, who did you meet with? I just want to.
David Miller.
David Miller.
That's it.
Executive Director. Paul Reynolds is the president, I believe. Okay. Do we want to dive into any of these today, or what do you guys want to do? We allocated another 90 minutes, but I'm not sure what.
Should we talk about, I mean, we have, a lot of us have more work to do, obviously, on the sections here, so we have to talk about them in good depth, but we want to talk about anything we think we gotta be focused additionally on, that isn't in the 2012 plan.
I think part of our challenge is until the consultant piece is set, I almost feel like might be going down. I don't know how much farther we can go.
Yeah, I agree.
Because otherwise we're gonna be unwrapping what we think we've wrapped up. So I think we're at the mercy of the board on that piece. So.
Yeah.
Far be it from me, I've never, even though I've allocated 2 hours, don't necessarily fill it just for the sake of filling. So we could choose to. I think what would be helpful if we could understand, Joe, if things change. The challenge is this meeting's the day before, so it doesn't give us much heads up. So I'm wondering,
So I'm planning, I think I know where you're going with this, so I've got to get final approval from the board, but I have spoken with the preferred consultant who's willing to meet with you. You know, on the 24th, she'll come up and meet with you and kind of gauge it, even if we haven't hammered out the details of the agreement yet. Is that
Will
where
that
you're at?
will that be amicable to the board of selectmen? Will we be,
I'll check.
are we
with
putting
them.
the cart in front of the horse? Because far be it from me to invoke the ire of the BOS.
I think it would be okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm game,
Obviously, I'll talk with them the evening before,
right, so we,
so the 24th.
yeah, the only. I had a suggestion, because in November, we're scheduled for the 7th and the 21st. The 21st is 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I'm driving back from Montreal on the 21st. So I didn't know if we could look at maybe doing the 7th and the 28th,
Who's 28th? Is that a Tuesday?
same Tuesday.
Is that
It'd be
Tuesday
the
after
fourth-
Thanksgiving?
Be the
Yeah.
4th Tuesday, but I'm not sure if any other group meets in here on the 4th Tuesday.
The 4th Tuesday, no, I don't believe so.
That's all right for me. I mean, after Thanksgiving. Yeah, because I'm gonna go away for Thanksgiving too.
A lot of people have gone that
I'll be
week.
back.
When our kids are younger, we lived in Wyndham, that whole week there was no school, it was good to go away. Yeah, so we could, and then the week after, the month after that, we have December 5th and December 19th, so. In November to December, we have only 1 week break between meetings, we might wanna think about what we wanna cover workload wise. Might be one of those times where it'd be good. We can pick a few things, where we're like, okay, let's talk about this week, and then we get, and the next week, we can, so we get some continuity,
Yeah.
just a thought,
Mhm.
so,
Well, so if we meet on the 24th with the consultant, we'll want to have a pretty tight agenda for that meeting, for sure, and part of it should be, well, we'll hopefully have all our background work done on the existing.
I guess the question is, what do we wanna cover with this consultant?
Well,
Let's
one
take a
thing,
few minutes and
yeah, I was kind of leading into
roll
that.
back to that.
That's where I was kind of going with that, is like, I think having help with a survey is something we've all said we want the consultant to be involved in. That would be a good meeting to try to nail down what that survey might begin to look, might finalize to look like, because we gotta get that out, get public feedback,
Right,
don't you think?
I think if you guys can, you two can review what the other stuff from Terry's, get that together, and let's get a draft to Joe by a week from today, is that
I could
possible?
do it in a day, it's not
Okay.
gonna take
And
me
so the
long.
And make sure you two
consultant
are
Yeah.
methodical on it,
Yeah.
and then let's get that off to Joe, to the consultant.
Yeah.
So when the consultant comes on the 24th, they've reviewed it.
Yep.
They have a clear understanding of it, and we can try to turn it into an action item and walk out of there with
Mhm.
a pretty good.
I like
And the
that.
consultant's gonna ask.
Cause I don't wanna walk in and just give the survey to them cold.
No, you're right.
Right, right.
100%.
We're paying this consultant, I want them to be able to cogitate on it at least a week.
You know, and they're gonna ask, what information are you trying to gather? You know, like how, you know, where are you trying to go with this?
I think we've
You know.
established that through our conversation, so I don't think it would hurt, Wendy, if you wanted to put, you and Steve wanna put together a couple paragraph narrative and say, this is what we're hoping to accomplish, and these are our questions.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Did we hit or miss or whatever, and when we meet on the 24th, we would love your input so that we can try to finalize that, cause we really wanna get it out during the holiday season.
Right.
Cause I think that's the better shot to get, especially when we're trying to get some second homeowners. A lot of
Oh,
people
this
come up for
surveys?
Thanksgiving,
Surveys
Obvious
on Christmas
criticism.
would be great, you know,
Right.
and I would just think about doing some charrettes or some, you know, visionary meetings, like workshops in January or February,
Right.
where everyone's bored, you know, or skiing.
yes, Mr. No,
No, you're not.
Carly, Warden,
No,
So will the consultant be bringing their own ideas as well as bringing ours?
yeah, Terry, yeah, that's exactly it, we're suggesting Wendy and Steve finish
produce a
up
draft.
their draft, give a couple paragraph narrative incorporating what we've all talked about to say, this is where we wanna go with this.
Yeah.
This is what we got for a proposed draft. When we meet on the 24th, can you come back with some educated thoughts and advice so that we can finalize up the survey, because we'd like to get it out early November.
Mhm.
So that way they can chew on it, and it'd be, I actually think it'd be a great exercise to figure out, you know, do we have the right person here? In a sense, because I think we're gonna give them, I think, a, you know, fairly fairly close there, but just see what they come back and say. Yeah, oh yeah, you guys are on the right track, but let's combine these two or redact this or that, and I'm hoping they can come in with a product that says, in our opinion, we bless this product to go out. And I'm hoping we could then be there or close enough that if worse come to worse, that we do an approval on November 7th. Our final version, so they can be out for the holiday season. Does that sound unreasonable?
No, I mean, they're gonna bring probably their own perspective. If there's something we haven't covered, and there's something that other towns have put out for survey, they might say, why don't you consider this as well?
That's what we're hoping.
That's pretty much what he's saying, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, they're the
You know, it'd be
experts.
helpful with the consultant meeting too, to actually get this Google Doc as finished as possible. Because that's gonna be a really good working document for the architecture of the next update. It's like, okay, well, where are we at with all this? Because, you know, and we can color code it or whatever, so that, you know, the things that are still active that everyone feels is still a good idea to focus on, we can incorporate into the new plan. And what I found a lot of times with these things is, if there's an area where there hasn't been much work, you have to ask why. Like, why is that? So maybe you have to take a step back and do more development work to make that, you know, those concepts come to fruition. Maybe there's not enough support for the workload.
right, and I think we can also, I'm gonna add a couple columns so we can mark those, so then we can sort it a couple different ways throughout the document. It'll pull from the first page, but then I do that often where the raw data gets changed on this page. And then when it gets pulled over to the other page, it can be sorted.
Yeah.
A number of different ways, so. Yeah, so let's set that as what our goal for the 24th is that, well, we met today's the 3rd. Is that, can everybody give me whatever notes that they have so far in the next week, and then I'll incorporate that and send it back to Joe. Joe can send everybody the link, and then we can tweak from there, because if you've already got it typed up in some shape or form, you send it to me, then I'll incorporate it and get it set, and then everyone can then go in, edit and access, because I want to try to standardize the formatting
Sure.
throughout the whole thing.
And you want it sent to you in spreadsheet form, in sheets.
I don't care if it's typed and you say number 80, 86 or whatever it is, like you have it, that's fine, just make sure that I've got the question of which one it goes to. And as long as it's typed, then I can just cut and paste. I don't care if it's in a spreadsheet or not, and don't worry about the formatting other than it's, because I want to go through and get everything in a similar font. Those pieces, and then we'll have sorted sheets that will be locked for editing. We'll just have one area where it's edited and then it pulls it down across. I find that works better. Everyone do all their paperwork. I know I've been slack on mine. W2s.
Oh yeah, turn that in, please. When you've got it done.
Maybe.
Marty will take.
Have you figured out what do we get paid?
Nobody tells you here.
I think
It's
it's
the biggest
25.
mystery.
No, we haven't got to, we haven't got to the point where it's worth it yet, Jeff.
35 chair, 25. Yeah, I believe. It's new, some of the committees weren't being paid, so that went through the budget last year.
On school board, we used to get it, we got rid of pay. We took that money and put it into staff enrichment. I think it was well invested. To get a check at the end of the year for $200, you're like, goodness, another thing I gotta remember to send my accountant.
I know.
Whoops. All right, so is anyone opposed to moving meeting dates to 24th? Or we're gonna stick with October 24th, hopefully with the consultant.
Yes, she's waiting confirmation from me.
So she's already got it penciled in.
She has it.
Then we're gonna go November 7, November 28, December 5, December 19. Do we wanna say January 2nd, be that bold, that far out?
Might as well put it out there at this point.
And then we'll have a conflict on the 16th, because that's MLK, which will be. Do we have a conflict? No, select board meets
I'm gonna say
the
the
third, don't they meet the third Monday?
first and third, but I
Right,
think
so-
January 2 is gonna be a conflict, because I typically.
They meet.
To that.
Would it make sense for us to have a meeting with them
That would be a very good idea.
Yeah,
that day?
I think we need to meet with all the boards.
Will you check with the BOS and see if, hey, could we start earlier, start later, and we'll do a joint meeting? For half an hour or an hour, and just kind of, we can give them an update.
That's a great.
By then, we'll have the surveys out and going, if not, some results back. And we'll have there,
Except for January 2nd.
if that is of interest to the BOS, if it's not, then we'll move the meeting, talk about it at the 23rd.
Kind of organizes our timeline too.
Yeah, well, I think it
Yeah.
gives us a pleasant push to be like,
Right.
we're gonna have our stuff together, so when we talk on January, we can speak intelligently. Okay, any other, I'm gonna skip over announcements, any announcements, Joe? Did you skip new business already? Oh, no, sorry, we were going over old stuff, it's my bad. So, yeah, we jumped, so new business,
under new business, I've had a couple of conversations with folks in town that are responsible for putting together a childcare facility. They apply for permitting and so forth, and now they're looking for help with tax incentives, not town tax incentives, but federal and state. And a question that came up in those conversations was, is anything about childcare in the comprehensive plan or the downtown plan? We went through it together. I did word search, we looked at those things. We also did some exploration in some of our archives of surveys that were done by the Economic Opportunity Committee, 15 or 16, that didn't directly ask questions about childcare, but I think it came up once or twice in the results of that survey. But the question really is, is in terms of economic development and having folks to be in the workforce, does it make sense to have childcare identified in this plan going forward? There's a pocket in this place where we can plug that in and talk about it. I'd like to be able to provide a letter of support if possible to this group.
so what are they looking for in the letter of support?
That that this committee, that the town feels that childcare services are important enough that the planning function should incorporate them in it for the next 10 years.
So we would go ahead and say that we're gonna include that in the next comprehensive plan update.
Or consider
Working on.
including it.
Or,
There's
Consider-
nothing in the
yeah.
school section that covers that?
No, it's not.
I was wondering, does that fall into the category that isn't the name yet, which is called healthcare right now? But would childcare fall in that new category around, which is a broader, it should be slipped into things because it applies to so many things, school, it applies to work, it applies to, other needs for healthcare, needs for childcare. I wonder if, and I'm not sold on the idea of healthcare being that category, that new category, but something that encompasses human health, childcare being one of those things, I think, right?
I think you could put under a broader umbrella with that, I think you could, because, it's like, it's wellness, it's,
Right.
it's like a lifestyle kind of issue, like what makes, comp plan is always trying to solve a problem. Like, so you have to ask the question, is childcare a problem? I don't know, my kids are,
Right.
old, so,
Well, care implies, health care.
yes,
Care isn't babysitting technically.
Right.
So health, childcare is some learning involved and some other things going on, so it does loosely fall into education. But I feel like we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna have health be a category, because it's gapped in this current plan. And I think that would fit within there, just like adult daycare might fit into that same category, just to put that out there. Mental health care and all these other things that fall into the human side, something that's really.
Do we have a definition for daycare or, childcare in our ordinance language now?
We do, in fact, that's something
We
that.
have 3 different levels.
It defaults to the state law.
Yeah.
Right. We moved it to the state law.
Okay.
But that's an update of our
38.
ordinance of our chapter 38, right? That-
Didn't exist previously.
Right, and that wasn't outlined in this version of the comp plan, right? So we updated the 38, not necessarily can't find that term in the comp plan, which is another reason why we might want to think about that on some level.
Well, could we talk to the consultants about that? They have updated comp plans more recently than our total old one. Maybe that's something that we've already addressed in other comp plans. So that's about ahead of time,
I think you could almost, just to play it safe, Joe, I think you could say there is nothing in the comprehensive plan that does not support childcare. It sounds, no, but it sounds, it's hard because we're not there yet.
Right.
And you need to go what exists.
Right.
So, what did they ask for in the letter?
Just general support.
Yeah, well, I think the town can support that. I think there's a couple businesses that already exist. There's three daycares that already exist in this town. Right now.
Right.
That are operating.
But general support and some illustration as being,
Right.
either has been planned for.
Two are home occupied businesses. I believe, right?
Very soon.
No.
No, yeah.
And then one is offsite presence at the church. So, I mean, I guess. And I've been to their presentations, I'm familiar with the project, so I probably gonna stay from a vote on that, because I have provided some advice on that, so. But my understanding is that their goal is not to be in competition with any of those, but an additional based on the needs and the uses that are in the town as things continue to grow. So I think from a letter standpoint, I think you can cover and just say, our current comprehensive plan does not address specifically anything with daycare, but overall, our plan addresses the wants and the needs to provide good things for the children of Rangeley. And what this group is trying to do seems to fit that same spirit.
Mhm.
Does that cover it?
I agree. I think you could say that, we're undergoing an update of our comprehensive plan and, the well-being of all residents of Rangeley is a large concern of our community, and we support your efforts to, pursue federal tax credit, whatever it is.
Because that's the reason we want the letter of support. 'Cause
Right.
It helps embellish their
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
Well, whenever
So
you're
maybe-
applying for new market tax credits or anything like that, you
Yeah.
always get something from the municipality.
Are
The
they-
support, because that's
Are they
where
looking
those.
for something from the town or this committee?
I think it should be from the town
It
personally.
would be, outright.
Yeah, okay.
I think Joe's just trying to get some insight from us. What are you looking for?
Kind of curious.
I think that you could, I think that's the argument you make, is to say, based on our comp plan and everything that's in there, the values of Rangeley are from the park that was given to the town for the benefits of the children of Rangeley, all the way up through. This town has a history of wanting to do the best for the children there, and then this is just yet another facility that would help
Well, I think too, during the
Provide.
discovery of the survey and the public engagement of how, if childcare is really all concern, it will be addressed, right?
Mhm.
I think Saddleback or somebody did a survey on that, right?
There's
That's
been a
how some
lot,
of this
I filled
stuff
out so many surveys on childcare the past 2 years.
But the comp plan would say something, you would allow that particular use in certain, areas, you would promote, facilities that had access to outdoor facilities for childcare. It's not like you can say Rangeley will have a
Yeah.
new daycare, cause that's a free market decision,
Yeah, sure.
So I think if you talked about the well-being of the citizenry and that this continues to support that, you could quote something out of the 4-page vision statement, I'm sure. That would cover.
Just put it all in.
Well, yeah, it'll be a lot of things in here, population characteristics,
Yeah.
doesn't drive really.
And there's a lot of new families in town.
Well, we
Yeah,
anticipate
kids.
growth over the next 10 years, and this is gonna become more of a concern of the,
Mhm.
our committee. So certainly we'll be talking about it.
Thank you.
Does that give you some help?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, but now Joe has to do it.
Oh, it's no problem. So we didn't talk, we're out of order here, Mr. Chairman, but we didn't talk about my homework assignment. I've been through it, and like Wendy said, a lot of it's, a good portion of it's been worked on, or if not completed. One of them was appointed our REOC, which we did years ago, and they've been active. In fact, I got an email from the chair today asking if we can schedule a meeting now that they're off their summer hiatus. Capital improvement planning is in there in several places, which we do have a pretty good capital improvement plan. It's on the big sheets. Road priority system, we've worked on that in the last 7 or 8 years. So, I think, we've covered some ground, as a town, but there are some places where we need improvement that I put that right on the sheet, needs improvement. One of them is locate new public facilities comprising at least 70, I think Colin and I talked
Yeah, I
about this,
saw that
75% of we need improvement on that. We need to understand what to do with that. That's one. A lot of it's ongoing too, things that will be continuing.
Great.
Yeah. I'll get this to you.
Great.
And if I can help anybody in any way, and we'll connect with
Yeah,
anybody else.
Thank you, yeah.
Let me know.
You said the term, which I just wrote down,
Well,
health and wellness, that could be the category we're
that's
talking
the
about.
catchphrase right now.
Health and wellness,
Mhm.
not just healthcare.
And it encompasses a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, numbers, and it's
Yeah.
pharmacy too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And sometimes in plants, they do health and community wellness,
Mm.
Okay. Anything else you want to cover under new business? Think we spelled anything else out?
I have a note maybe to mention, when we're going forward with our update, I think this board would do well to meet with some of the folks from Saddleback too. And I know they're not in Rangeley, but they definitely impact this community quite a bit. And it would be interesting at least to see if their vision and what we're coming up with coalesces at all. And if there's any mutual area for, facilitation or support or synergy or anything like that.
My understanding, they're still working on their master plan. I guess maybe when it's done, if they are interested in meeting with us, I guess. Definitely look at it. I think in some ways they have an impact, some ways, I mean, they definitely had an impact without their, to their workplace, you know, they, until their workplace housing is solved.
They're
Their
almost
workforce
done.
housing is solved.
Yeah.
Then they're having an impact for sure on housing in town. 'Cause they-
They're moving the furniture in now. Just kidding.
Yeah, so hopefully they're ready for this fall, and my understanding is. Sound like, because I know they've got pretty much all their teams hired for the winter, and that's helped because they've had the workforce housing, so. And they're full, so that's good, and they get everybody hired, so that's
How
good.
many people do they house, do you know, Chris?
I think it's like 90 something that can fit in that new facility, so they'll be able to. So hopefully it's gonna relieve a little bit in town a little bit. I think we'll see an adjustment in pricing too.
Yeah.
So. Starting to see things pop up that haven't popped up in the past year, so. So it'll be interesting. So. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that, if that makes sense, I'm just wondering when the.
I didn't know how far along they were in their own planning. I figured they'd already have something.
They've been working on that for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're working with. They work with some engineering, couple different companies, so.
Perhaps they have enough to still give you some information as to where they're in agreement on.
Yeah, I mean, the question is how it affects our facility. I think the number one thing they've got to work on is their fire piece. They've talked about that a little bit,
And police too.
what they're gonna do there. I know the plantations haven't been overly excited of investing, especially on police force. They
Oh.
kind of like the sheriff piece, so.
There's a little bit of motion there.
Yeah. There'll be some discussions coming up, I think.
Yeah. Be interested to see. Now Sandy River struggles kicking in for just helping out with the park, so. Be interested to see how it all shakes out. So, anybody out there in Zoom land today?
Don't see anybody.
Guess we're too boring. I'll be interested to see, I mean, this, I think that's where, I think what we can talk about in the comp plan going forward too is. The pluses and minuses of the plantations working with the town on some things, I mean. I think the broadband was the first thing that they actually got everybody to work, try to swim in
That
the
was a
same direction.
successful project too.
I think that's gonna have more impact going forward.
Mhm.
When I moved here 15 years ago, we had one DSL line at the movie theater that we broadcast to the top of the mountain that relayed into the lodge, so we had internet.
Wow.
We were still running hard lines for credit cards. 2008. Now there's fiber everywhere.
Satellite too.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I think, you know, the Economic Development Committee, I think, is another group we should be.
How would we
Meeting with
liaison with them? Should we have a schedule at some point, a joint meeting with them, or?
I think that,
we
I think
should.
that's in order, in my opinion, even before BOS.
They're a good dynamic
Yeah.
group.
Cause I like to know what's going on, because that'll affect some of our stuff
They
here.
normally meet first thing in the morning, but I can propose to the chair that they,
We could come to them, I don't have a problem, first thing in the morning,
We
always.
could get on one of their meetings rather than
okay,
take one. of
Can you
ours.
ask them what would work? I mean, I'm out of country 14th to the 25th or so. But
okay.
23rd, but. I get back Thanksgiving here. Unless it was the 22nd that morning.
I think that's one of the dates she proposed.
November 22nd?
I think, no, October.
Yeah, so November is the only time that I'm out of country, 14th to the 21st.
Doesn't work.
That's
That is the date,
Sunday.
that is the date she gave, but it's a Sunday.
Oh, it's a Sunday?
Yeah.
No, we
So
won't.
Joe, you have everything you need though for the Beth Brunswick people now, right?
I do.
So you're good there.
Yep.
So will you check with economic development? That's something you could definitely send out by email and say, these are the couple dates that work, I don't see where that's a problem to communicate that to us. And we can try to, I think it would be good just to get some of their thoughts.
Pulse.
Pulse.
Yeah, what they're working on.
So, you know, what are some of the things you
Priorities.
think is there anything that they've been working on as a committee that they feel is handcuffed because of something in the comp?
Exactly.
Right, or.
I think that's the number
That's a
one.
good one, yeah.
In their downtown plan too, which is a nice plan, really good plan. It would be nice to get an understanding of where they are with that and any impediments they've had for some of the goals, which, you know, haven't been accomplished yet.
Let me guess, they're talking about running the power underneath, which is what's been talked about for 25 years.
That's very expensive.
But that is not off the table as far as I'm concerned, in terms of talking about it. Like, um, It wasn't a high priority Wausau study. It is listed in several places in terms of downtown. That's something that probably the board of selectmen will discuss when they talk about what to do next with the Wausau and the state of Maine's suite of partnership programs.
I would imagine the referendum around divesting of CMP would impact any discussion regarding power levels. Take it up, you know, they take it off the table.
We can't vary three-phase though, can you?
You can, but it's more expensive.
Oh, okay.
More requirements, bigger conduit,
Because is it three-phase downtown?
yes.
It's definitely three-phase downtown. You just have to pay for a transformer though if you want to pull off. Anything else you guys want to cover?
No.
Make a motion to adjourn at 5:05 PM.
Second?
All in favor? Sorry we didn't go the full 2 hours on such a nice.
It's all right.